So today I'm going to talk to you about 3D graphics, the basics of 3D modeling. So 3D modeling is very useful in this day and age. So we can make stuff, we can put it in computer games, animations, but we can also now, amazingly, we can print it. So we can make a very simple model or a very intricate model, and we can make a print of it, a 3D print, and we can do this over and over again. So we can duplicate the print in our nearest 3D print bureau. We've got a printer nearby in our home or office, or if we're near one of these fab labs or makerspaces, which is a place where we can get 3D prints done as well. So it's a revolution going on. We can make things in 3D graphics and we can get them printed out without an expensive factory tool setup job. And I'm using a program called Blender. I've taken everything out because I'm just showing you the grid. Most 3D programs have a grid like this, and this is what I'm going to show you, the basic building blocks of 3D, and I'm going to show you that now. So I'm going to go to the top here, and I want you to imagine this is just a piece of paper with a graph on it, like you did in maths at school in basic coordinates. Oops, I'm going to go, it's gone squint, so I'm going to move around here. So if you probably know this, but in coordinates you have an x and a y axis. So the green is the y axis and the red is the x axis. Okay, and I'm going to add some little dots. So I'm going to add a dot here. I'm going to add a dot here and one here. And if you can remember, then it's not so important, but 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the coordinates that the computer uses to work out the 3D graphics. And at the moment it's on a flat excuse me, plane. So I've drawn 3 points. And now, oh, I forgot. So the way we call these points in 3D graphics language as vertices. Or singularly, it's a vertex. And then we have to join the vertices. Well, we don't have to, but this is how 3D graphics works. So we join it here, we can join it here, and we can join it here. So these are called edges. So that's the next element or building block of 3D graphics. Excuse me. And then after that, we can, when the edges are joined in a triangle or a quadrilateral or more, but it's important to remember in 3D graphics that triangles or quadrilaterals are the best ones to use, because any more than that, it kind of messes up processing power. So imagine this is filling this triangle with a solid red. So now the triangle is a solid. And you've probably heard of this word before. When it's filled like this, it's called a polygon, like polygon count in computer games. So we're still on a 2D plane. So now, as if by magic, we can go into the 3D plane, like so. And this axis is called the Z-axis, or the Z-axis, as some people pronounce it. So we're now making this into 3D. So I'm going to draw a little, dot, hopefully above the triangle. Sometimes it's difficult to get it above it. Okay, it's above it there, good. And then I'm going to add the edges. And I think you can see it taking shape into a 3D shape now. Whoops, that isn't touching the vertice. It's good. And then take this up as well. Whoops, that's a bit annoying. Come on, join, join, join. Sometimes this is a bit tricky. That's really gone skew with. Come on, work this time, please. No. Let's just do it this way. Okay, good, it's worked. So now it's like a pyramid. And then obviously we can imagine that the polygons are spreading outwards and making a 3D shape. So that's how 3D graphics are formed. But you might be wondering, oh, well, that's a bit blocky. Well, you know, objects in a computer game or a TV program are thousands of polygons. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 polygons. So thousands would be like this. So the polygons are so small in these that it gives the illusion of a curved space. But it would be very, very boring and crazy and maddening to have to make graphics like this every time. So this brings me to the next thing, primitives. So in a program like Blender, we have primitives. For example, here's a sphere, and as you can see, it's not that detailed with polygons, but it's made up of lots of quadrilaterals. Yeah, and a good one to start with is a cube. So we start with primitives to start modeling. And primitives can be scaled, they can be rotated, they can be moved as well. But that's pretty much all you can do with them. To edit them, you have to go in. Yeah, you have to go into them. So in things like a lot of these programs, it's called sub-object. And in this program, Blender, it's called edit mode. And as you can see, which is pretty interesting, is you can select the vertices. So these are actual vertices now on a mesh. You can select the edges. So these are the edges, and you can select the polygons like so. And obviously you can move the vertices around, you can move the edges around, and you can also move the polygons around. You can scale the polygons as well. You can also scale the edges, and you can rotate and do loads of stuff like that. So that's pretty interesting, isn't it? But on top of that, 3D programs come with lots of tools like modeling tools, yeah? Because you couldn't really do much just by doing that. So I'm going to quickly show you 2 modeling tools. So the first one, there's loads by the way, so what I want you to do is after this is to look into the 3D program you're using, such as this one, Blender, and look at all the other tools. So one of the really simple tools to use is called Extrude. And again, this is a very basic modeling tool, and we press E here in Blender to extrude. It's very, very simple, and you can see the potentials of it because as you extrude, we can scale, etc. the new extruded parts. And then we can extrude again and scale. Yep. So it's made a very simple cross again, like so, or whatever object you want to make. One more tool is the slice tool, or in this case in Blender it's called the ring tool. So it will go round your object, it will loop round your object wherever it's placed, and it will add more edges in your object so then you can go to things like extrude again, extruding the polygons, and then it will do stuff like this. So it's pretty good, pretty good. And then you've got a simple model, so then you can add textures to the model. That's another lesson to look into, and lighting. But what I mentioned at the start of the program, I could get this model, I could put some G code in it, which tells the 3D printer the speed and the layer height of it. And once I've saved it in G code using another free program, actually, I can get it into a 3D print. So I can get this into my hand in hours, if not hours, even half an hour, depending on the size of it. So that's basically it. So that's the fundamentals of not printing, the fundamentals of 3D. So it's X, Y, Z, and we've got the faces, the edges, and the polygons. And basically that's it. So questions, comments, welcome. I'm really pleased to hear people giving me feedback, because that's why I make these things. I really enjoy teaching people and telling people what I know. So that's great. So thanks very much for listening, and hope to speak soon. Bye for now.